News at 11.
In today's economy, paying utility bills can be a tough task, but what if your hard-earned money was going to foot the bill for some questionable spending?
Well, a 6 News investigation looking into Morristown Utility Systems found thousands of charges for things like trips, four-star hotels, and some fancy dinners.
That's right. The night team's Alexis Soto's joining us now. And Alexis, you've spent months going over these records.
That's right, Jean, Lori. We have spent the last couple of months, producer Ryan Webb and I, we obtained credit card statements and expense reports through an open records request for the last 2 years at Morristown Utility Systems. It's a utility with about 15,000 customers, but we found they're spending thousands on items that many of those customers weren't too happy with.
Oh my gosh.
That does kind of get frustrating. Mercy.
These customers aren't reacting to high utility bills.
Wow.
No, those are the reactions to the spending of employees at Morristown Utility Systems. It's a utility company that serves just under 15,000 customers. But we found your rates aren't just going to water and electric. You're footing the bill for some pricey perks. Last year, 6 employees and board members flew to Denver for the American Water Works Association conference, a trip costing $11,000. Then it was off to San Diego for a trip costing $5,724, a conference in Dallas for $4,000. And the trips are done in style, 4-star hotels and a lot of steak dinners, including this one in McCormick and Schmick's in Seattle for $420. Several $38 fillets and a $34 ribeye. The alcohol was reimbursed, but it's still a fancy dinner on your dime.
Shoot, I could eat a week on that.
But they're not just spending big money when they go out of state. Trips to Nashville include a $490 dinner at the Stockyard, $163 at Morton's, and at the hotel, a $19 movie charged to the room, all paid for with the company card.
It's hard for us to make ends meet, so to see them spending that kind of money is kind of overwhelming.
We poured over financial statements for the last 2 years, finding that employees at MUS spend $91,000 on travel in 2013. In 2012, they spent $81,000. That breaks down to around $6 per customer. So who's going on these trips? The biggest traveler is CEO Jody Wigington, but CFO Clark Rucker, Power System Manager Brian DeLozer, Water System Manager Mike Howard, and Telecommunications Manager George Benjamin all make several trips each year, along with many other employees. Most of them are in state, conferences and meetings in Chattanooga, Nashville, and Gatlinburg, almost always staying overnight, something Morristown residents say they couldn't afford to do.
Most definitely not, because it's way too expensive and it's an hour home.
But going through these financial statements, we found employees are also eating out right here in Morristown. Lunches and dinners all across town. Employees spent more than $8,000 last year.
I'm sure that the merchants like it, but I don't think it's good for the ratepayers.
With thousands of dollars in questionable spending, we wanted to know who's keeping Morristown Utility Systems in check. We took our concerns to City Council and the City Mayor.
If a Morristown Utility System can afford to spend that kind of money, then surely we can afford to reduce our rates.
That shocks me and disappoints me, because as a council member, we're charged and obligated to be the best stewards of the ratepayers and the taxpayers' money.
Morristown Utility Systems is an entity of the city, but other than approving bond issues and commission appointments, the city has no control. The 5-member utility board is in charge of oversight, but we found many of them attend these conferences and dinners.
It would seem it would be difficult to regulate your own activities.
Seems like an awful lot of money.
Councilmember Bob Gary used to work at MUS. He says the spending is out of control, especially when it comes to out-of-state conferences.
I know what they're doing. They're playing. They could not go to a single damn one of those, and the system would do just as well.
The company's CEO, Jody Wigington, refused to do an on-camera interview, instead responding to our questions about travel expenses in an email, saying, quote, "This is 0.08% of revenues. We do not consider this excessive. Training employees with new skills in a constantly changing business climate has resulted in $800,000 in annual operations and maintenance savings." But customers say the expenses seem too high.
I think it needs to be investigated. I don't think that's right.
Now we have all of these receipts and many more of these expenses on our website, along with the rest of the statement provided by the CEO at Morristown Utility Systems.
Alexis, you took these findings to the mayor. What's he going to do with it?
Well, it's a good question. There isn't much he can do, but he says he has contacted the city attorney and he does plan to ask for a review from the state comptroller's office.
All right, thank you very much.
Very interesting.